What's going on, everybody? Well, we had training camp today. Today was a work day. Today we were on the field. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes today. Saw it with my own eyes. So, what we're going to be doing today is what we do every day. We're going to do what we do every day. We're going to break this thing down. Let's take a look at what happened today. Also, it's fantastic because now I get to talk about from my personal experience. I don't got to read other people's notes. Let's go. So let's get into it. So one of the first things, of course, starting with the beginning of practice. Shout out everyone hopping into YouTube. We see you. We see you on Instagram. Um, so one of the first things today was we got to see Jalen Hurd come back. So we didn't really know what was going on with Jalen Hurd. Jalen Hurd had a maintenance day, and then he missed the following day. There was no explanation, or it was never addressed of why he wasn't playing. But he came back today. He participated in individual drills. He sat out team drills, but while team drills were going, he was working off to the side and doing his own thing. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So we got Hurd back. We got Trey Greenlaw back. Trey Greenlaw had also been held out a previous practice with a foot. He comes back and is back working. But unfortunately, one of the injuries that occurred today was to Aziz Al-Shair, linebacker, who has been playing extremely well. Is a guy that I have been kind of banging the table on as someone who's really going to be an ascending guy. Based on what Kyle Shanahan had said, it sounds like that it's not too serious, which is good because when I was watching and it happened, it looked serious. It looked serious. You could tell by the body language of the players, all of it. It just looked like there was something like, oh no. I think everyone was bracing for a potential ACL, MCL, whatever thing that could tear in your knee. I think they were kind of anticipating it, but luckily Aziz was able to get up and walk off the field on his own weight. I might have confused some people with a tweet I made. I apologize for that. But essentially, Fred Warner walked Aziz into the locker room, took him off the field, was right there with him side by side. That's why I was a little bit concerned, even though he was able to walk off the field on his own weight. When the leader of your defense escorts you off the field along with the training staff, normally it's like, what happened there? But luckily, it sounds like we're going to escape without a major injury. We'll find out if it's a significant injury that eats into more time into camp or it's just a couple days out. So that's kind of the administration stuff. So I think how I'm going to do this one, since I was able to get a good look at a lot of guys, is I think I want to go position by position. So I did a lot of focusing on the offensive line group today. I really wanted to get a good look at the offensive line, which, of course, I meant I was looking at the defensive line as well. So the offensive unit, the starting offensive unit for the 49ers, and it didn't change through team period, 11-on-11, 7-on-7s, or 7-on-7 doesn't matter, but through team period, there was only one starting offensive line. No other offensive linemen were rotating. So that's one of the things that I was waiting for is obviously that second round draft pick in Banks, right? I wanted to see, is he getting rotated in? Is he getting some playing time with the ones? Are they splitting reps with Brunskill? They did not. Brunskill took all the snaps at right guard. Aaron Banks actually didn't take one snap with the ones. So the starting unit essentially was Trent Williams, Lincoln Tomlinson, Alex Mack, Brunskill, and Mike Mcglinchey. Like I said, they ran with the ones all throughout. Off the top of my head, the second unit was Compton at left tackle, McKivitz at left guard, Brendall at center, and then it was Banks right guard, Jalen Moore left tackle. So that was the second unit. And pretty much those were the only offensive linemen that would play. But I also was watching Alfredo Gutierrez. So I really wanted to see Alfredo Gutierrez and just kind of just get an idea. Get an idea of who Alfredo is. Um, see how he's translating into the NFL game and all that kind of stuff. So I watched every time he played. He only played 3 snaps. Also, the snaps that he played, they weren't consecutive. It wasn't like 1, 2, 3 in a row, which is helpful as an offensive lineman, especially when you're just watching a lot and you're not getting a ton of reps. It's hard to go in for 1 rep and come back out. But what I did see from Alfredo was Zettel on the first rep was able to get under his pads and really be able to. He won the Zettel won the leverage game because we know Alfredo 6'9". He's a big guy. One of the things that he's really trying to work on is keeping his depth low, pad level low, and what you saw was Zettel just get under him, and as a result, use that leverage to kind of lift him and push him back. So that was the first rep. Not Alfredo's best. I'm sure something, again, what he's going to be working on is depth and things like that. The second one, he got beat on the edge against Zettel again with a speed move. He just dipped under and got around him. And then the third one, they were running it right off his butt. It was an outside zone, and he just took a step a little too early and got offsides, and then they took him out. So those were his only reps. Again, it's really hard to be able to judge, one, an offensive lineman without pads, but two, a guy who's coming from Mexico. We're just trying to understand how he acclimates. It's not an end-all, be-all situation off 3 reps with Alfredo, but again, he's going up against Zettel. Zettel was able to get under him with leverage, was able to get around him with speed, and then we just had an offsides. Wasn't his, I'm sure, the best day for him that he would like to have had, but still has the traits. I still think he can be a player in this league. Just, again, he's got to get acclimated. It's like his 5th practice in the NFL. So we're going to give him a break. I just wanted to get an idea, to see who he is, see what he is. And so with a guy like 6'9", again, we're just going to have to continue to watch his progress. And the real progress starts tomorrow once Pat gets on. Staying on the offensive line, I think Mike Mcglinchey had one of my favorite reps of the day. We got to see D Ford in 11-on-11. This was the first time I was with Jason Aponte and Jordan Elliott. We were statting and charting everything together. They had been there the last couple of days of camp, and they said that D Ford hadn't been in on team period yet. So this was the first time we saw D Ford in the team period. And so that's directly where my eyes went. The second we saw D Ford go in, he went to his old spot on the left side over Mcglinchey. And the first rep, I would say it was a draw. It was a draw. Like, Mcglinchey got out of his kick set. It wasn't the cleanest kick set. And he was battling with D Ford. They were battling for position, jockeying for position. Wasn't the cleanest rep by Mcglinchey, wasn't the cleanest rep by D Ford. That's why I called it a draw, basically. But overall, it was still a good rep by both. And then the second rep was the one where I was juiced on, because D Ford comes out and my eyes go straight back to Mcglinchey. I'm like, all right, I just saw what Mcglinchey did on the last one again. Came out of his pass set. Wasn't the cleanest. Wasn't the cleanest get out of his pass set, which kind of led to this kind of jerky back and forth between D Ford. But the second time, ultra clean. I'm talking about ultra clean. The way he anticipated the snap was perfect. He jumped out of his kick step and just was in perfect position. And of course, we know Mike Mcglinchey is a huge person. I'm basically looking at his back as he's kick stacking. I couldn't see D Ford. D Ford disappeared. But all I could see is Mike Mcglinchey, his positioning, the speed in which he came out of his kick step, which were some of the things that people have questioned. And even I have questioned. I'm a big Mike guy, but we can look at the technique and we can be objective and we can look at where areas that need improvement. And I think that was one of the things that he focused on a lot this offseason, and I saw it. I saw it. So that makes me really, really happy. And again, D Ford too is coming along. He's still getting into shape, but he still looks explosive. So that's good. That's really good. QBs, if you want QBs, I hear a lot of you guys asking about QBs. You got to wait till the end. Got to wait for the quarterbacks till the end. That's how I'm doing it. And I got a lot to say about the quarterbacks, by the way. I got a lot to say about the quarterbacks. But like I said, I wanted to see this offensive line. I wanted to see who was starting where, what the first team unit looked like, what the second team unit looked like. And so, again, I talked about the really solid rep by Mcglinchey. And again, I was staring straight at him. I was like, all right, this is it. Let's see what we got. And he killed it. So I loved it. And he goes off, and he goes back to his offensive line group. He's kind of got his chest up. They're all like, yeah, let's go. We saw that. It was a good rep. It was a really good rep. I think it was one of the better reps of the entire practice by any one of the players. And then one more thing on Banks. Again, it's really hard. Again, no pads. I'm evaluating this offensive line right now and D-line off no pads. That all changes tomorrow. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. All changes tomorrow. Then we get to see the transition between what they look like without pads versus pads. Pads is the great equalizer. We'll know what these offensive line and defensive linemen look like tomorrow. But it was interesting to note that because I was watching Banks, and when he was in the second unit, I wanted to see what he was doing. And I did notice that he did have two plays that I'm sure he would like to have back. So one of the things that I love about Banks's college tape is that he didn't lose reps. I swear, you're hard pressed to go through his last year in college and find reps that he lost because he's so big and just so dominating, great technique, moves well. All right. But again, it's different without pads. So taking it with a grain of salt. He did lose 2 reps. They were both pass blocking reps. And I'm far away. All right. Keep in mind, I'm probably about 100 yards away from these guys. So I'm doing my best to lock in on these guys from being so far away. But it looked like he appeared to lose twice. And the kind where you lose and the offensive lineman is turned around looking at the guy who just beat him. So I don't have the super nuances of why he got beat and what move it was because he's playing on the right guard. And it's really hard to see that side of the field, especially on the interior from how far away I was. But I did notice he got beat twice. But like I said, we'll see what happens with the pads. Again, I'll be watching the same position groups tomorrow. So that was the offensive line. It will be an easy transition into the defensive line because, of course, D-line, O-line, they're competing. I'm watching them go back and forth. The starting defensive unit that appeared when they were doing walkthroughs was Armstead at defensive end, Kinlaw over the 3-tech, DJ Jones, nose guard, Bosa on the right end. And then they also showed what their turbo package looked like. So this is the package when they go into nickel. So that package, that starting unit would be, and we're talking about defensive line, D Ford at left end, Givens over the 3-tech, Contavious Street over the nose tackle, and then it was still Bosa at end. But it was really cool seeing D Ford on the left side, Bosa on the right. It was really reminiscent of that 2019 team, all that success we had. I got a little nostalgic. I'm not going to lie. Seeing D Ford and Bosa on the edges, I got a little nostalgic. But that was their turbo package. So turbo, like I said, typically rushing the passer, typically in nickel when they take a linebacker out, bring in K1. The three starting linebackers were Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Al-Shaair. The two starting safeties, Tavon Wilson, who looks pretty good. Tavon Wilson looks pretty good. I think he had a forced fumble today. Again, we'll see when the pads come on. Everything's a grain of salt right now. That's the theme of the episode, grain of salt, because no pads. But Tavon looked nice. He had a pass breakup against Kittle in one-on-ones. Okay. I can kind of see why Tavon is starting right now across from Jimmy Ward while Jaquiski Tart is out. Jefferson is still acclimating, still coming on. He's only been with the team for a couple weeks now. But going back to the D-line, the rotation, man. That rotation is deadly. One of my biggest takeaways, I put it on Twitter earlier, that interior defensive line. So when we actually got into the plays and we started playing and they started rolling, Kinlaw was out, Bosa was out, D Ford wasn't really in. He was being sprinkled in. So the defensive line unit that we were watching for most of the day is the second unit. So on the interior, it's Givens, it's Street, it's Zach Kerr, who had a day. Zach Kerr is going to be a player for us. The combination of like DJ Jones, Zach Kerr, Givens, Street, these guys on the interior. Again, I'm not even mentioning Kinlaw, who has a potential to be a potential MVP of our defense if things go his way. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the guys behind him. And I think fans should be pretty excited about that unit. Zach Kerr, one of the better plays that I saw from today, tossed Laken Tomlinson. Like Laken Tomlinson's been stout. Good call, Mo Hurst. I didn't get a good look at Mo Hurst today based on the rotation or whatever. He just didn't happen to pop when I was watching. So that I just didn't see Mo Hurst myself pop. But like I said, I was far away. So, but Zach Kerr on the play against Laken Tomlinson, he hit him with a mean bull rush. And really popped Lincoln's chest back. And then what Kerr was able to do is essentially it's basically called a push pull. You drive, you push, you get the offensive lineman's shoulders up, so he's fighting back, and then it was basically like a rip. He basically pulled and ripped through, and he absolutely owned Lincoln on that rep. And so really excited about what Zach Kerr did today. See you asking about Samson Ebercom. Honestly, again, didn't pop for me. I didn't see him pop. So that's someone I'll take note of tomorrow when I go back. But I didn't see him pop. So, and he wasn't really someone that I was super focused on today. I will look at him tomorrow. So I like the interior defensive line depth. Really, really like the defensive interior line depth. Arden Key, you see the traits. Didn't pop specifically today, again, based on my vantage point. But by all accounts, this defensive line, obviously I'm talking about the interior defensive line, but I think with the edges, if you get a healthy D Ford, Arden Key, Bosa, Willett, like all these guys, like I think this defensive unit, this front seven, is going to look good. Well, that's why I didn't see Samson today. He didn't practice today, apparently. I didn't even see that. So thank you. That's why I didn't pop. He didn't even practice. So yeah, like I said, he wasn't on the field. Armstead played end. Armstead I don't feel like played a ton today. So this is fun. This was probably one of the most enjoyable things that I got to watch. is they were doing walkthrough. They were doing install of blitz packages right in front of us. So what's really cool about that is you get to see the philosophy and what they're trying to accomplish with stunts on the defensive line and what they're doing with linebackers. So one of the things that I've talked about, if of course you've watched these lives, is I think that D'Amico Ryans is going to be more aggressive, bring more stunts, show more at the line of scrimmage, and then maybe show 8, only rush 4. That's exactly what they were doing. It's exactly what they were doing in the walkthrough. They would bring down K1. They would bring down Jimmy Ward. They would bring down Verrett at the line of scrimmage. They would either blitz him off the edge or they would fall back. You would have Warner and Dre coming up into the A and B gaps, showing like they're going to blitz. So it was really fun to watch because although Saleh has been good for us and what we've done with our personnel in the past, is very vanilla defense. And so it's predicated on getting home with 4, playing coverage on the back end, and basically funneling everything at Fred. Well, I'm liking what I'm seeing from D'Amico Ryans, because what I'm seeing from D'Amico Ryans is I'm seeing that ability to want to confuse offensive linemen. You remember what happened to us last year? You remember what defenses were doing to our offensive line, because we had Ornez Grasu out, like we had like 3 different centers and 3 different guards and like different you guys remember that? And do you remember the defenses and what they were doing to us? They were throwing 8, 7 disguising blitzes, and we couldn't do anything with it because we couldn't react fast enough to it. We couldn't diagnose, we couldn't key, we couldn't react, we couldn't block. So it was just like it was a hard time. I'm seeing that from our defense, and that is making me happy, because as an offensive lineman, my job becomes 10 times harder when the defense disguises what they're doing, and especially when they disguise blitzes. When you disguise blitzes, you have a way higher probability to catch an offensive lineman slipping by going to the wrong assignment. So that's why I love this, because now we're putting the pressure on the offensive line to understand their assignments on top of our assignments. So that's a lot of what I saw. It's a lot of what I saw. You see a lot of junk at the line of scrimmage. Again, as an offensive lineman, as a center, as someone who has to identify the defense, to understand how all 5 of us are going to block. If the defense is moving and they're shifting in and out of gaps, and like it's hard. You have to be on point as a unit on the offensive line to pick that up. So that's what D'Amico Ryans is doing, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to see it manifest. In some one-on-one notes that I had, Dwelley, Ross Dwelley. I mean, Ross Dwelley. I tweeted it. He looks like he leveled up. He looks like a different person. So because, we follow George Kittle, right? And Kittle works in Tennessee, and he works with Josh, and he works with Jay Holt, and he works with QP, and he works with all those guys, and they do their own thing in Tennessee. Again, with Tanyan, with Hawkinson. So with Tanyan, I watched Tanyan kind of develop with Kittle for the last 2 or 3 years and kind of transform into what he did last year, the 10 TD season that Tanyan had for the Green Bay Packers. I was ready for it. I was absolutely ready for it because I'm watching the progression through those guys and their workouts. Well, looking at Dwelley today, he looked like he's taken that like Tanyan jump, like where he could come out and score 10 touchdowns in a year if he wanted to. I mean, I'm talking about he was all day looking solid, making tough contested catches, back shoulder catches, over the middle, in traffic, in the junk. Dwelley looks good. Dwelley looks good. That is not hype. Dwelley looks good, and I'm like a noticeable change in development, and I like it. I think we all like it. As good as Kittle? No, but I'm saying like it was to the point where I'm like they look much more similar. You know what I mean? Before it's just like Kittle and then everyone else. Well, I think Dwelly's picking his game up. I think Dwelly is slowly matching what Kittle is capable of. Of course, Kittle is different. Kittle is one of a kind, but Dwelly looks damn good. Trey Sermon looks super good. Shout out my boy Craycraft. Hey, my boy Craycraft ain't getting a lot of he ain't getting a lot of reps, but everything I saw from him today, loved it. Loved it. I see the suddenness. I see the routes. He routed K'Wan Williams bad. He routed K'Wan so bad for a touchdown and one-on-ones. It was beautiful. And I was like, there's my guy. And this is K'Wan, right? K'Wan's good cornerback. He's a good nickel cornerback. Those two are the kind of guys that would match up. K'Wan's a slot or a nickel corner. Craycraft's a slot. Craycraft routed him up. Touchdown. Good job, Craycraft. Juice, very nice route. Very, very nice route. He looks fantastic. Al-Shaair had a really nice pass breakup on PBU or on Mostert. So one-on-ones was fun. Let's see. So we talked about the trenches so far. Talked about O-line, D-line. We've kind of touched on a little bit of one-on-ones. So let's do this. I will touch on now running backs, linebackers. Let's do running back, linebackers. So so I talked about interior defensive line. Super excited about that group. The other group I'm super excited about, running backs. We have a lot of good running backs. This might be the best running back room we've ever had under Kyle Shanahan. I will go out on a limb and say it absolutely is the best running back room we've ever had under Kyle Shanahan. Even when Tevin Coleman was playing well and Mostert was coming up to speed and Breida was playing well and Jeff Wilson was playing well, this running back room, which again still has Jeff Wilson. Oh, shout out Jeff Wilson. He was on the field today before practice doing rehab. Look, I mean, he's on his feet. He's doing some very light impact, but look promising. So Jeff Wilson is out there rehabbing. But this running back room, Mostert, Trey Sermon, Wayne Gallman, and Elijah Mitchell, JaMychal Hasty. So I'm going to focus on the four because Mostert just glides, man. He just glides. He finds the seam. He hits it. It's an easy 15. It's an easy 20. That dude is dope. Like, he's just good. When he finds a hole, when the crease is there, he hits it, has the one-cut ability to make one guy miss, just a little wiggle to get him off base, and he's gone. Like, he had multiple plays today where he had 15, 20-yard gains. He may even, I would call it maybe like a 25 or 30-yarder. Could have been tackled, but again, they're just kind of tagging off. It could have been a home run. But so Mostert looked good. Him and Trey Sermon were splitting reps. So Mostert, Trey Sermon, it really felt like an even split. It felt like every other rep rotating. That's kind of what it felt like. And you see the difference in running style. Like where I just talked about Mostert, just smooth, one cut, hits a hole, reads it, bang, he's gone. Sermon is angry. Sermon looks like he wants to kill you when he has the ball in his hands. But he has the ability to play in the flat, catch passes in the flat, run up the middle, do all different kinds of things. So I'm really excited about the 1-2 punch there. But what I'm even more excited about, and someone I've been excited about for this since we've signed him, is Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman looks fantastic today. Wayne Gallman had multiple big gains. He brings another level that Mostert and Trey Sermon don't have. He's a little more sudden. He's got a little bit more of the quicks, the jukes, the lateral, and he's got a really good one cut as well, but it's much more sudden. Like whereas I describe Mostert as being fluid and very smooth, Gallman has got the wiggle. And he used that wiggle multiple times in between the tackles, running in the garbage. One cut, wiggle, one cut, wiggle, one cut, wiggle, boom, found a hole, crease, he's gone. Wayne Gallman is nice. I'm super hyped about this running back room. Wayne Gallman is nice. And then Elijah Mitchell, watching him, he's just like Mostert. He's just like Mostert. He's like Mostert's twin or baby brother, however you want to look at it. Very similar running style. Smooth, speed, same kind of style. So I like it. I like all of it moving together. And JaMychal Hasty, I think JaMychal Hasty's nice and he has potential, and but I don't know how he can beat out. I don't know how I can make the team just based on how talented we are. We're so talented at that position. So running back, love it. Absolutely love it. On the other side, again, Al-Shaair went down. For the most part, Warner had a pick. Warner had a pick today. We'll get to who threw that pick and how that pick came about. He had an interception. For the most part, Dre played decent. Flanagan Fowles played okay for the most part that I watched. But like I said, a lot of today I focused on the trenches. And then, yeah, that's pretty much where I focused in regards to DBs. I looked at the DBs, during individuals and, of course, one-on-ones. Ward looks solid. Verrett looks solid. Both Ward and Verrett, thing one, thing two, those boys look primed for Pro Bowl years. They look primed. The numbers, too, I think are really going to help them. I think it brings another juice. Shout out Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward came out with the swag today. I'm a bit, when it comes to cornerbacks, if a cornerback is wearing a cutoff hoodie with the one arm sleeve, I'm like swag champ instantly swag champ. You get me the one sleeve and then the cutoff hoodie, I'm like, oh, and that was Ward was rocking that today, killing it, swag champ right now. But so is Verrett. Verrett looks good, play good, look good, feel good, all that good stuff. So DBs look good for the most part. Talanoa, Hufanga in team period. I saw him do a read and react kind of a situation where he came to cover the flat, and then they pivot. The offense pivoted to another spot where he had to react to it, and he reacted really nicely. And I liked his ability and the instinct that he showed. He showed me the instinct, the football player that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have referenced, just pure instinct. So that was really nice and promising. Let's see, what else do we got? So is it quarterback time? Oh, no. Before we get into quarterbacks, wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, these dudes about to ball out this year. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel are about to have a year. Both of them playing at this level are only going to help each other because defenses are going to have to decide on who to key on. Who's wide receiver one? Who requires safety help? Do they both require safety help? Because, again, you have George Kittle in the middle. George Kittle is absolutely, most likely, going to require safety help. So if Debo and Ayuk are out there doing their thing, it is going to be extremely difficult for defenses to scheme against this offense. So we know those two, right? We know Debo, we know Ayuk, we know they're about to be fantastic. It was Sanu who looked really solid today. I think it's pretty clear that Sanu is winning the quote unquote wide receiver 3 battle. Richie James, I didn't see much from Richie today. I really didn't see much from Richie today. Really didn't see a whole lot. Like I talked about earlier, Jalen Hurd didn't participate in team drills, so we didn't get to see any Jalen Hurd. Other than that, I'm trying to think of some other plays that some other wide receivers may have had. Again, I talked about some of the plays in one-on-ones where they looked good. Oh, Richie did have a TD, though. I can't do Richie wrong like that. Richie had a TD. Richie had a TD from Jimmy, and that was on the D Ford versus Mcglinchey. That's why I don't remember it that well. That's why I don't remember it that well. It's because I was watching Mcglinchey. I was watching Mcglinchey versus D Ford. Jimmy hit Richie James, I think, on like a little outlet pass. I'm pretty sure. But like I said, I was watching Mcglinchey on that play. So, but I don't want to do Richie wrong. He got a touchdown today. But yeah, for the most part, Ayuk continues to stand out. His long arms, his catch radius, the ball's in his vicinity. He's going to go get it. Debo looks angry. Debo's playing like he has something to prove, and he does have something to prove. He absolutely has something to prove. So many people are talking down on him after his year in 2020. So I think you're seeing that. I think you're seeing that come to fruition. And with those two wideouts, good things can come from that. Like I said, Sanu looks like he is really taking control of that kind of third spot. We'll see how it stacks behind him. I saw Austin Watkins Jr. had a good catch, like Jimmy put it on him, and he just boom. You gotta see his strong hands. So for the most part, but like I said, today was a big trench day, so watching a lot of those guys. So we'll take a better look at the wide receivers tomorrow. But you guys ready? You want to talk about quarterback now? All right, guys, this is the point. This is the point where we start to get our minds ready to talk about the quarterback position. We start to put our emotions to the side. We start to remember all the things that have been said over the last 7 months. We get a drink or whatever you need to get ready and relax, because now we're about to talk about the quarterbacks. I finally got my eyes on these suckers. Got my eyes on the quarterbacks and all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. So I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to start when they're doing warm-ups. Like, warm-ups. So, again, there's so much context baked into this conversation that it's really hard to compare apples to apples, because it's not. Trey Lance versus Jimmy Garoppolo is not an apples to apples comparison. One is a rookie playing in his fifth training camp practice. Jimmy Garoppolo is, been in the league a couple years now, and has led a team to a Super Bowl. So it's not really an apples-to-apples comparison, right? Because one guy's literally, this is his trial by fire. He's learning right now, first time, brand new, against a veteran, a good veteran. But this is, again, we've talked about what Kyle Shanahan is looking for in a quarterback. He talks about it all the time. It's mentality. It's playing consistently, being up and down. Doesn't want that. So what we saw today, unfortunately, I got to see it finally with my own eyes, was we got to see up and down Jimmy. So what's tough about up and down Jimmy, for example, what they're doing in warm-ups, literally no offensive line, no running backs, no wide receivers, no defense. It's a coach pretending to do a shotgun snap to the quarterback. The quarterback either does a boot, does a zone read action. It's against air. Like, it's the most against air thing you can do, right? There's literally nothing. And then you have George Kittle, who's probably about 5 to 7 yards angled. 5 to 7 yards angled. And so I can't remember the exact motion. I can't remember if it was play action or if it was zone read action or he did a boot. I can't remember, but it was one of them. And again, it was against air. RIP my video quality. But what happened against air, I think, is emblematic of this entire conversation. It's like a microcosm, if you will. So what Jimmy does, again, he's been hitting all his passes on target. Again, it's warm-ups. They're just warming up, getting loose. And then, again, it's like a 5 to 7 yard out about like where Kittle is. He's really not that far away. And Jimmy just sailed it over his head. Like, George jumped as high as he could to try and get it, and he barely touched it. Again, I'm trying to put the context behind the play. Again, no offense, no defense, no pressure, warm up, and the thing just sailed on him. And I said it really loud. I feel kind of bad. I was like, "Oh no, Jimmy," because again, the context of what we've talked about in past episodes is Jimmy has to be perfect. Again, he's going against a rookie, a guy who has like 6 practices under his belt. Jimmy's been here, done that. And this is a real competition. Kyle Shanahan came out again, said it's not a competition today. We know why he's saying that. But it is a competition. And when you're in warm-ups against air and you're throwing uncatchable passes, like I said, I let out an audible "oh no, Jimmy," and I had people look at me because I was just, I couldn't. It was like just one of those situations where, like, I want Jimmy to be successful. I want him to play well. I want him to prove to all these people that have taken a dump on him that he's capable of doing this. But that's what I've said all along, is you can't make mistakes. Jimmy, unfortunately, has to be perfect. Trey doesn't have to be perfect. Trey's rookie. Trey is 21 years old. Trey has 5 practices under his belt. He does not have to be perfect. You feel me? So he did that. Everyone looked at me. I was like, my bad. Sorry, guys. I was like, sorry. But that's how like abrupt it was for me. Like, I was like, oh no. Okay. So then I'm watching again. They continue to go through. All right, he's hitting his passes. It's warm up, right? He's hitting his passes. He did it again. He sailed another one. Same situation. No defense, no offense. Against air. And he sailed it. Twice. And again, Kyle has talked about ad nauseum about needing a guy that is not too high, not too low, stays consistent, not hesitant, clear mind, all of those kinds of things. And it's just like, I know the pressure that Jimmy's under. Like, I can sympathize with what Jimmy's going through. Like, I can't imagine. I would fail if I was Jimmy mentally. I would crumble. I want to be able to do it. But Jimmy is a pro, and that's what he gets paid to do. And so those kinds of things, although small and minor, like I said, are a microcosm. It's like a big issue funneled into a singular situation. And so for me, it's really hard to see that. It's really hard to see that. Because like I said, if I'm the coach and I have a veteran and a rookie, and I expect more of the veteran than I do of the rookie, right? I expect more of the rookie, or I expect more of the veteran than I do the rookie, and that's how it should be. Again, it's not apples to apples. One guy is almost 30, has been playing in the NFL for almost a decade. One guy's been here for a couple weeks. So that's the context that is extremely difficult. And then we go into team period. For the most part, Jimmy found some new. Then it was like a Trey Sermon run to the right. Then Mostert had a 15-yard gain up the middle. Blocking up front was really good on that play. Then Trey comes in. So 3 plays. Jimmy got 3 plays. And then Trey comes in. So to me, I play football. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. That's splitting reps. 3 reps in team period, and you're already switching quarterbacks. I mean, they are playing, to me, in my opinion, from what I watched today, I saw even snaps. I didn't count. I think Jason counted. Yeah, so Jason Aponte was with me. My guy was statting it and tracking it. Jimmy threw 16 passes in team. Trey threw 3. But the first play of Trey coming in, zone read, keeper, legs. And you see the legs. And you're like, oh, there are those legs, Trey. Again, what everyone's been talking about since about Saturday's practice, right? Saturday, Trey, of course, just apparently demolished, the defense with his legs. So I think the defense was better prepared today, but you still saw the ability. You still see that ability of being able to keep it, tuck it, and run with the zone read. First play. 3 plays into 11 on 11. Trey comes in, first play, zone read. Take it for what you want. Next play, Trey Lance, naked boot, tucks it, and runs. 2 plays, Trey Lance using his feet. He only got to about the line of scrimmage, maybe a couple yards. But still, again, you see the ability. You see the guy coming out on the naked boot, and you see him like running, and you're like, oh. So he looks intense. He looks good. Like, he looks like a quarterback. Like, he looks like a number 3 overall pick, right? So they just kept getting into it. And for the most part, they really didn't take shots today. Neither Jimmy or Trey took shots today. I didn't see any. Maybe I missed some, but some of the ones like we've seen in highlights to Debo and Kittle, like 35 yards, I didn't see that. I didn't see them really take much of any shots. I think the Niners just posted Fred's interception. So Jimmy was trying to, since They literally just posted the interception. But Jimmy was trying to like fit it in over Fred, just trying to fit it in, and it did not happen. It did not happen. It just hung up there, and it was an easy pick for Fred. I'm actually excited to go look at it and see what it looks like. But from where I was, it was one of those, oh no, it's not a good pass. It's in a good pass. Again, it's hard when you don't have, the all 22 and you can't go back and watch it. But from every account, it wasn't a good pass. And but then that's kind of like what I kept seeing with Jimmy was, okay, Jimmy then would hit Dwelly over the middle in between two defenders, threw it on his back shoulder where like it had to be in a perfect spot where only Dwelly could get it, and Jimmy hit it. I was like, that's a tough throw. I was like, what, 15, 20 yards? Hit Dwelly like kind of on his back shoulder in between two bracketed defenders, like a really tight hole. And you're like, there's Jimmy. Like, okay, that's good. That's good. But then another example. Let's see, who did he throw it to? I can't remember who he threw it to. He was throwing it to one of the running backs in the flat. I believe it was Gallman. But again, it's a pass to the flat, right? So it's a horizontal pass. They're not gaining ground. It's maybe a 5 to 10 yard pass. And he throws it, and I had the perfect angle of it because of where I was sitting, and I just watched the ball come out of his hands like this and then go like that and just dive. And the running back had to catch it at his ankles. So from a veteran quarterback, that should be a layup in my opinion. Like, ball placement is important and should be something that is held to a standard for good quarterbacks like Jimmy. So the fact to see that ball just die on him, again, it's just like, it's the up and the down. You see the good throws, you see the tight window throws, you see him over the middle, but then you see the hesitation. Then you see him get flustered and not where to throw it. And so again, it's like that's a really tough evaluation when you have the number 3 overall pick in the building and he's playing about the same level as you. Trey threw a pick today. It wasn't a great pick. It just seemed like he kind of forced it over the middle. It's kind of a similar pass to Jimmy. It was even kind of similar to Jimmy. Felt like he forced it. Didn't read, maybe the underneath defender well. And he threw a pick. His first pick, I think, of training camp. But that kind of stuff, like, again, that's why the context changes. Because when Trey throws a pick, like I just said, well, it's a 6th practice. It's his first pick of training camp. He's a rookie. Of course he's going to throw picks in practice. I expect him to throw picks in practice. But it's the other side. It's the other side. It's like with Jimmy, the expectation is kind of got to be perfect. You can't be playing at the same level as Trey. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, that's what makes this difficult, I think, is because you see good Jimmy. You see him make the throws that we know he can throw. And you know that he can make. But then you see those same ones where you're like, you know what I mean? It's just a context thing. It's like one guy's 30 almost, and the other guy's 21, and they're playing about the same level. And that changes the evaluation. That changes the context. Context is everything. So, and then again, Kyle said what he said at his press conference, which again, we know what he's doing. Kyle's taking all the pressure off of Trey Lance, putting it on himself and putting it on Jimmy. We can accept that. I'm not going to question what Kyle's saying, even though I understand what he's really saying. I know what Kyle's doing. He's going to continue. It's the same thing the 49ers have done since January with Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to keep talking about Jimmy as a starter. They are not going to talk about Jimmy in a negative light. They're just going to keep talking about Jimmy having positive practices and being positive, and that's how it's going to be, just like it's been since January. Nothing's changing. It's going to be the same. So what is going to be interesting now is, again, we've been doing all of this without pads. There's been no pads. Pads changes everything. We get to see who the real Tarzans are. We get to see who the Janes are, and we get to see who steps up. So now I feel I'm super happy I got to see them without pads, because now I have a baseline, and so now when the pads come on, now I have something to compare to. So tomorrow will be different. There are going to be guys that stand out tomorrow that didn't stand out yesterday because they have pads on. That's how pads work. The dogs come out when the pads come on, and the kitty cats go hide. It's just how it works. And hey, some of those kitty cats look really good running around with shorts and shirts. It's when the pads come on that the real football player comes out. So that's what we get tomorrow. So again, we saw the Trey Lance dime to Ayuk in one-on-ones. For the most part, Trey Lance played okay. I didn't walk away. Again, watching Trey and having the same reaction that others had on Saturday, I would assume he had a better practice on Saturday. But I came back like, Trey looks good. I see the potential. You see the running floor. You see the arm talent. You see the accurate, like you see it. You see everything. But you can see he's still putting it together. He's a rookie. Remember, he hasn't played since he was 19. He's still putting it together. So, but that's the difference. It's like, damn, like this is a quarterback competition. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah, and so like I have some examples of like Jimmy across field, high missed. I know Trey had a similar pass missed. So again, they actually kind of played similarly today. Jimmy had good passes. Trey had good passes. Jimmy had an INT. Trey had an INT. Trey had 3 touchdowns. Jimmy had 2 touchdowns. Trey went 9 for 12. Jimmy went 11 for 16. Shout out Jason Aponte for tracking that. So that's the problem, though. You can't be even in quarterback competition with a rookie. You can't. You can't do that. That's, I think, the context that people are missing. Is like, I can't go out. I shouldn't be able to go out there and be like, they look pretty even. They look pretty. You see the intangible that Trey brings of his running ability, right? You see it. You're like, oh, that's good. That's nice. It's good. But Jimmy doesn't have that. And so it's just like, it's hard. I really wonder what the players are feeling from a player standpoint, just of a football, non-political, non-friend kind of a situation. Like if they were to be objective as possible, like if you gave them a truth serum and kind of stuck them, like what do you really think about these two? I think it would be kind of an even. I feel like they're even. But I think what the point of what I'm trying to say is if Jimmy is going to win this job, he can't play even to Trey. Does that make sense? He has to be better than Trey to hold the job. He can't be even because Trey has the rushing floor that Jimmy doesn't have, that which inherently goes like this when they're even. Does that make sense? When they're throwing the ball from the pocket about the same, but one has a rushing ceiling and the other doesn't, it's hard. This whole situation is hard. Again, we knew this was coming. We knew this was coming when the 49ers selected a quarterback and they said they were keeping Trey. We knew this is what we were going to be talking about. We knew all year, we knew for months that this was coming. These conversations were coming. We can't get away from it, because if we want to be objective from a football standpoint, just football, the X's and O's, that's how we have to talk about it. So unfortunately, being objective about X's and O's in this situation makes it very difficult for Jimmy. Jimmy just has to play at a certain level. And I think what I'm trying to say is Jimmy has to play at a certain level, and the level I saw today, I don't feel meets that requirement. And that's tough. That's tough. It's tough. Because I like Jimmy, dude. I'm genuine in my heart when I say I like Jimmy. I literally have zero ill will against Jimmy. I want Jimmy to succeed. I want Jimmy to play well. I want Jimmy to be able to play clear minds, play without hesitation, play in the zone, be able to just do it. Just do it. But I didn't see that today. I didn't see it today. Again, and that's not like Trey was a world beater either. I think Trey it was kind of a sloppy practice. Kind of the vibe was kind of low today. So I just think, again, it's not over. It's not over. Pats changes everything tomorrow. But if I'm in that, if Kyle called me and is like, hey, Brad, really like the beard, Brad. Really like what you're doing with that ginger beard. But we want to bring you on staff. We really like your insight. We really like how you're reading these situations. What's your honest opinion of the situation? Well, I'm like, well, they're playing about even right now from a just on the field standpoint, player versus player, right? But if we're taking it in the context, if we're taking in all the context of the last 7 months, that changes everything. So I imagine that's how they feel on the inside. I feel internally that's what they're feeling. Oh, hey, Alex. Alex is here. Yay. So again, it's just we knew this was coming. We knew these conversations were coming. We knew, like I talked about it ahead of training camp. If Jimmy's not perfect in training camp, it is going to be a snowball effect. And we saw that on Saturday. It doesn't seem to have gotten a ton better today. So we'll see tomorrow. We're going to find out tomorrow. But that's essentially my assessment of the quarterbacks. Again, Jimmy, when he's on, good, accurate, decisive, on time, making good throws, hitting good. Like I said, he hit Dwelly on a back shoulder in bracketed coverage, where he forced Dwelly to turn, which kept Dwelly from one getting rocked and was a perfect pass. So again, he's capable. He has the ability, and that's not the issue. The issue that Kyle Shanahan was with Jimmy isn't his ability. It's the ability to be consistent, I think, is the biggest issue. And Alex, perfect. Alex said it perfectly. You expect consistency from Jimmy at this point in his career, and you really do. That's what I expect from him. Again, if Jimmy doesn't have the 2 sailed passes against air and the interception and the ball that died on him and a couple of like hesitation pocket passes, like you can take reps, a good chunk of reps from today and be like, Jimmy played pretty well. But it's when you put the whole body of work together and what you expect from a quarterback, what you expect from an NFL player. Again, consistency is the truest measure in this game of greatness. And that's the hard part. That's the hard part. All right. I'm going to start looking at your guys' comments. Questions? I'll look. Yeah. Wasn't a great pass by Jimmy. Fans seem like they're forgetting Trey doesn't practice with the starters and he's playing against the second team. Well, that's the thing, though. Like, even though he's playing against the second team, he's still playing. I think Kyle's being a little sneaky. I'm not gonna lie. I think Kyle's being a little sneaky. I think he's sneaking around. I'm seeing Trey complete passes to number 1 options in our number 1 offense, even though they might not be with the number 1 O-line unit. He's still playing with the same wideouts and the same pieces. Feel bad for you, Jordan, because I just got done talking about the quarterbacks. I just got done. All right. Kerr asks, what's the turning point for Shanahan to go with Lance, you think? How soon if Jimmy isn't clutch? So this, again, is another hard topic to discuss when, I have to put my GM hat on, because what Kyle Shanahan said today, again, I talked about it. All he said was what he said the last 7 months. And what he said the last 7 months was in order to try and keep Jimmy at a certain level in regards to public opinion and thought process, based on people who don't maybe cover this team super well, people who just kind of see a narrative and they're like, oh, okay, that's what the narrative is. So, yeah, I read it in a quote, and so I believe that. There are a lot of people out there like that. So it's easy for people to hang on to that. So, like, with what he said today, it really, again, it just falls on, like, the long shot of Trey. It just feels like the same thing he did when they were trying to trade for another quarterback. So it just feels like they're trying to keep the conversation around Jimmy positive. They're trying to keep everything around him positive, so that if someone comes knocking, they have like receipts and a track record of like, well, see, look, he said he was good here, he's still good there. So, it's really hard to say this, but I really believe it's hard to say this, but because I'm putting myself in Kyle's shoes. When you're asking me this, what's the turning point for Shanahan to go with Lance? I have to put myself in Kyle's shoes. So right now, I'm Kyle Shanahan. I just got done trying to trade for 1 million quarterbacks while the whole time pumping up Jimmy's trade value the whole time. But I'm looking for my next quarterback, bumping him up. Okay. We get the rookie. All right, I was still pumping up We're still pumping up Jimmy. All right, I'm at camp today. I see with my own eyes. I see they're a lot more even. Like, based on what I saw today, why isn't there a quarterback competition? But what does Kyle do? Pumps up Jimmy. Meanwhile, taking stress, pressure away from Trey, which is what you really want to do. You don't want to put this pressure that is on Jimmy on a rookie quarterback. So that's another angle. So it's just tough. It's tough. I don't know. I've always felt like Kyle has kind of been like ready for Trey to take over and just waiting for someone to call knocking about Jimmy. And that's tough. Niner Alex said Dre Kirkpatrick told him he will not be signing with the 49ers at this time. Money wasn't right. Alex, I saw you report that last night. You had that first for sure. Good scoop on that. So that's kind of how I envision the rest of camp. It's just, again, I try to, one of the beautiful things about having ADHD is that I have the ability to process multiple ranges of outcomes with one scenario. So I can process the perspective from Jimmy. I can process the perspective from Kyle. I can process the perspective from a fan. I can, you know what I mean? Like, I can process it through different lenses. And it's a tough situation any way you look at it. It's just a tough situation. I think we all kind of believe Trey is 100% wavy. ADHD is a blessing, and it is absolutely a curse. It's a blessing if you figure it out, but it still is a curse at the same time. But I like it. I've learned to love my ADHD. So that's just the thing. It's just, we know. Real ones know this is a competition. Real ones know Shanahan is ready to stop talking about this. He is. I believe so. So it's a waiting game now. We saw the tide turn on Saturday. The narrative turned on Saturday. That's all it took. And it's just going to keep going. So I've said it all along. This preseason means everything. This preseason is the most important preseason of my lifetime, just in regards to it means something. Because I really think that we need to see Trey Lance with live bullets. We also need to see Jimmy with live bullets, because again, we're still in practice. Whatever. Practice is practice. I want to see them live. I want to see it with live bullets against another team that's scheming against them, that they're having to counter and do all kinds of things. So that's why I don't think anything is going to happen until preseason. So even though I keep talking about this kind of like shift internally, even though they might be saying something different, I still feel like this competition is won or lost in the preseason. I don't think any decision will be made prior. I really don't. I think it's going to take them, like Alex said it. I want to see Trey play against the Raiders. If Trey comes out and just toasts the Raiders, again, you add the nostalgia of dismantling the Raiders onto that. Like, people are just, again, they can't help themselves. So they're going to hop on. They're going to hop on the bandwagon, and then that pressure shifts to Kyle. Once everyone jumps on the Trey bandwagon, the pressure goes off Jimmy, and it goes to Kyle. So Kyle has about this much time left. Before the narrative flips on him. So that's what we're up against right now. That's why I could sense his energy in the way he said some stuff today in the press conference. I just feel that we're headed down that path. And soon, if if Jimmy isn't playing better, that puts the pressure back onto Kyle. So, it is a wild time to be a 49er fan. However, I do love the competition because, again, football is competition. Competition breeds excellence. You don't have football without competition unless, like, you're like a true developmental player and you got to learn and be a developmental player, then, of course, you're not competing for much. But when you're the number 3 overall pick, and we know what was traded to get him, and we know the situation with Jimmy, we're about to see it play out. So preseason is where it's at. Battle Royale, Alex. Battle Royale. Oh, man. Is it going to be Trey and Sanu versus Jimmy and Kittle? Maybe a little tag team bout. But at the end of the day, hopefully it makes both of them better. That's the thing that we want to happen, is that we want them both to rise to the occasion. Of course, if Jimmy rises to the occasion and proves he's better than Trey right now, that's a good problem. We want that to happen. We want it to happen. But after day one, I didn't see that happen. When is our joint practice versus LA? I'm not positive. I'll have to look at that. Luke Luna says, I don't think Kyle cares. He doesn't like press. That's well known. Jimmy will play well, and that will answer his questions. I absolutely think Kyle cares. Kyle's a big ego guy, legacy guy. He absolutely cares. Let's see. Oh, I didn't talk about Rosen today. I'll talk about Rosen. Rosen looked good. He was playing in front of Sudfeld in individual drills, which typically is pretty representative of kind of the pecking order. Not always, but it was Jimmy, Trey, Rosen, Sudfeld, which makes sense. Rosen has been here the longest. Sudfeld should have to compete to beat out Rosen. But I ain't going to lie. That ball looks not bad coming out of Rosen's hand. Really. I was like, oh. He actually looks a little nice. I mean, the arm talent is there. You see the arm talent in Rosen. Like, he clearly has the arm talent. That's why he was a former top 10 pick. So you see that he has some arm talent there. Just from slinging it again against air. I look good against air throwing the football because I got a cannon. Let's go. But he did. He has a good arm. I will give him that. I won't take that away from him. First time I saw Rosen let it go, I was like, he's good. He's got an arm. Again, I don't think that's necessarily his issue, is his ability. Again, kind of like what we're talking with Garoppolo. Garoppolo's issues aren't his ability. If it was up to his pure ability, he could play quarterback. He could be successful. He could do all those things. It's the intangible. That makes you a consistently good quarterback. What trade value does Rosen have? I imagine he doesn't have any. He was signed off the practice squad onto our team. We signed him off Dolphins practice squad, brought him over here. So I don't know. I don't think anyone would trade for him, to be honest. How was seeing Dad today? Oh my gosh, it was so good seeing Dad. And it was funny because I realized he doesn't say anything. He just kind of like he was funny, like made this whistle, like he's trying to get your attention. I was like, what are you doing, dude? I was like, you can talk to me. He was trying to like point me at something. He was like, I was like, what are you doing? But it was funny as hell because he was pointing at my beard. He was like, oh, look at the beard. But that was funny. And I look at the picture. I'm like, that for real could be my dad. I was like, we look alike. I was like, me and the mascot are like, we're meant to be. We're meant to be. That's dad right there. That's dad for sure. Great grandpappy. But that was funny. That was fun. That was cool. That was cool. Today was fun though. Today was cool. Hey, shout out my homies that want to take a picture with me. That was surreal. Getting recognized and people asking to take pictures with me, that was pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie. I can't front. That was kind of cool. I was like, oh, you guys making me feel all special. Thoughts on Jordan Matthews potentially making the roster as tight end? I mean, he looked good. He did look good in some one-on-ones. But I mean, you got Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner. Josh Peterson looks good. I'm not going to lie about that. So I think Josh Peterson is going to be a guy that I would love to stash on the practice squad. He seems like one of those Ross Dwellys that could, undrafted guy, has some skill, but, kind of a tweener. Stash him on the practice squad, send him out to Tennessee to work with Kittle for about 2 years. I could see him becoming a player in about 2 years. Absolutely. Josh Peterson, he has raw talent. I could see him being a player in about 2 years. He looks a bit away from that, but I see the potential for sure. Matthews make practice squad? Probably. Any news on Al-Shaair? The only news that I've heard was that it wasn't serious. Other than that, I don't know. Do you think we'll try to keep Elijah Mitchell on the practice squad? No, because I think Seattle, Rams, or the Cardinals would pick him up. So no, I don't think the 49ers want to cut any one of those running backs because I think the 49ers know if they do, they're going to a division rival. Because if you look at the division rivals running back rooms, they're not great, especially with Cam Akers going down for the Rams. They need depth. So if the 49ers were to cut someone like Elijah Mitchell, who has a lot of potential, that he would get swooped up instantly. So, no. Can we keep all those RBs? I don't think so. So that's the crazy thing. It's like, how do you keep Raheem Mostert, Wayne Gallman, Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell, JaMychal Hasty, and Jeff Wilson on top of having Juszczyk? So, I don't know. Appreciate you, James. Shout out everyone I've seen some nice comments come through. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the good energy today. The energy's been a little wacky the last couple of days. Appreciate the good energy today. Yeah, I think Luke Luna says Hasty going to be on the practice squad. I probably agree. Am I comfortable with the secondary? I'm super comfortable with Jimmy Ward. I've never been more comfortable with Jimmy Ward in my life. And I'm super comfortable in Jason Verrett. Of course, Emmanuel Mosley, we haven't seen him yet because he's dealing with the COVID issue. So we'll see. I like Mosley. I think Mosley's a quality starting cornerback. Again, he will be the starting cornerback. You don't give someone $9 million guaranteed to go away or be a backup. So Mosley got his money, and so they expect him to play. feel like they want to keep Gallman as a receiving back. Gallman ain't going nowhere. Gallman ain't going nowhere. Probably one of the most underrated. It probably is. Him and Zach Kerr, I think, are going to be the most underrated free agent signings from this past month. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. Well, I'm saying super comfortable even with an injury on the running back in the running back room already. He's Dario. I'm saying he's confident in Tavares Moore would replace Tart. Yeah, that was tough to lose Moore for sure. I think he was going to be taking a big step forward as well. Yep, Keith. He was at Tight End University. That is Jordan Matthews. Again, Jordan Matthews also was at Trey Lance's pro day and was catching passes from Trey Lance. So Jordan Matthews has familiarity with Jordan Matthews and George Kittle. So I don't know. Heard Ambry's struggling. I've heard he's struggling as well. Like I said, I didn't spend too much time today on DBs. I was focused on trenches today. But I've heard that as well. I didn't get to see it with my own eyes. Have I seen Dre Greenlaw? Yeah, I saw him today. It looks like he bulked up big time. I mean, he just looks good. Like, he looks ready. I think he's in the best shape of his life. I think he looks good. I think Greenlaw's ready. I really want to find out what's happening with Alshire, man, because I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him go down. Keith wants a ginger beard. Let's go. All right, I'm going to do maybe one more question, and then let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, because you know why? Tell them, Wavy. It's because pads are tomorrow. We got pads tomorrow, and I'm super, super excited. Oh, that's a good question. Infamous Devin asks, let's pretend Trey does land the starting job. What do you think he will do with our offense? I think, Raul, yes, I do read that chat. I see you. I'll pull you up just for that. We do read the Facebook chat. I really envision, so think of 2019 Jimmy. What's up, Travis? Think of 2019 Jimmy. That's what I expect out of Trey Lance. I expect 2019 Jimmy, but with the rushing ceiling, you get a different element. You get a lot different element. Whereas, like if Jimmy was struggling or something, he didn't have a way to really come back into it or make one of those momentum swinging plays with his legs that are killer for defenses that happen to us all the time. So that's what I think. I go back, I look at 2019, I look at Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019. To me, Jimmy Garoppolo was a rookie. 2019 was the first full year Jimmy had ever started, although he had played games in the NFL and had been in the NFL for a couple years. I would say that the ACL reset him to a rookie. I would say the pressure of the contract combined with the ACL injury reset him back to being a rookie. In regards to confidence, in regards to these things, the process. So if you look at 2019, you look at how the offense was predicated off the run, using the defense to suffocate teams, playing all three phases of the football. Jimmy Garoppolo, we needed him in like four games, right? It was the Rams game, Saints game. There's a couple other, the Steelers game, where we needed him to step up, and he did. That's the variable. Those are the variables. So the 4 games that Jimmy came back and won, which he did, put us on his shoulders and won those games. What does Trey do in those situations? I still think Trey wins 10 games as a rookie. Like that's the floor with this roster. So if you're winning 10 games with the rookie and that's the floor, with the potential to win 12 to 13, I don't know. So that's the thing is I think I think Trey can. I think if the defense is playing well, you can hide Trey in that offense with a good running game, play action, and now zone read. So I think of that. I think 2019 Jimmy is what you could get out of Trey, but with the ability to rush. Oh, thanks, Infamous Devin. I appreciate that. Thank you. When that day comes, when they start Trey, do we eventually trade or release Jimmy? I've been saying it for a while. I feel like they've been trying to trade him for some time now. So I don't know. I don't know if they're. So the big thing it's really hard, I think, with Jimmy is he has a no trade clause, so he can, let's say a trade materializes, but it's to a team that he doesn't want to go to. Like let's say a trade materializes, and it's to Philly, and he's like, I ain't playing in Philly. Are you kidding me? He's like, I'm not going with Jalen Hurts and that Philly fan base. He can just kill it. He's like, no, I'm not going. So I think it's just a difficult situation. Difficult. AOT, I appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you. Travis, dude, you just missed it. I seen you just hop in, bro. We just went down a whole we went on a whole. I'm an hour 30 in. We talked about that. We talked about that for sure. 100%. 100%. They're playing 5D chess right now. They're playing 5D chess, and they will continue to play 5D chess until that roster is built how they want it. So again, this is my caveat before I get out of here. Darium, I appreciate you. Dude, you guys are juicing me up today. This is the caveat. Damn it, what was I going to say? You distracted me with a nice compliment. Damn it. Oh, man. Damn, what was I going to say? It was a good point, too. It was a fire point. Anyways, it's going to be, we're going to talk about this every day. We're going to talk about this every single day. I hope you enjoy talking about quarterbacks. So let's call it. It's been an hour 30. I got all my notes and all my thoughts. Everything's out. So again, what will be interesting now? See the caveat? I forgot what I was saying. See, there's that ADHD. Facts. You guys just saw a live squirrel. And then wait, what was I going to say? Happens to me all the time. I think the caveat was, I don't know. Bear with me. It's been a long day. I've been up since 5:45 this morning. I believe the caveat is that that's our opinion based on everything that's going on today. No pads. We will see what happens tomorrow when pads come on, because those are two different worlds. No pads versus pads. The boys versus the men separate. So we'll find out. we'll see what happens. We'll see how it elevates or evolves tomorrow. So you guys have heard all my thoughts, my feelings of what I saw from today. For the most part, was kind of a bit of a down. I wouldn't say like people came away from Saturday's practice juiced. I came away today being like, all right, it's about even. It's about even. But even isn't good for Jimmy. Even's great for Trey. Even isn't good for Jimmy. So that's kind of how I took it. It's kind of even with the rushing floor of Trey. So we'll see tomorrow. Once Pat comes on, we'll see what that has. So again, this is what I'm looking for from the quarterback position. Offensive line and defensive line get to block. That happens tomorrow. This whole thing that they've been doing with no pads, it doesn't translate for offensive defensive linemen very well. It does in some regard, but for the most part, it doesn't. So now when we get the pads on, offensive linemen are going to be able to hit you harder. They're going to be able to grab you and do all different kinds of things. So now it becomes more of a leveled playing field. So now I want to see what these quarterbacks look like with pads on, guys actually coming after them in front of them, and then how they react. So tomorrow is going to be fun. Tomorrow's podcast, or whatever we want to call this, live is going to be a good one, because we're going to be able to compare and contrast today, no pads, versus tomorrow, pads. So we'll be back. Don't know the timing of when I'll be back on tomorrow, but it will be after practice. If you saw what I did today, I was doing lives from Instagram during practice when they allowed us to take video. So I'll probably do that again. And then we'll do this whole thing again tomorrow. I hope you guys all have a blessed night. I think it's football. We're talking about football right now. So that is the cherry on the top. We are talking about football, and I'm happy to be talking about football. So we'll pick the discussion back up tomorrow. And yeah, football sumo, the vibes. So we'll pick it back up tomorrow again. Shout out all you guys for watching. A lot of good vibes tonight. I appreciate the good vibes. Good vibes tonight. And we'll be back to do it again tomorrow. You guys all have a fantastic rest of your night. And we'll see what gets cracking tomorrow. All right, guys. Delete. All right, guys. I'm out. Peace.